Greetings, welcome to another constructed video series. This one is for Innistrad block constructed before Avacyn Restored is released. So I'm going with a red-white deck based on a friend of mine who took approximately this to a Grand Prix trial and did quite well with it, but this has some of my own kind of spins on it. Let's go ahead and start with some of the card choices. In the 1-drop spot, we have Champion of the Parish. Pretty solid 1-drop, seen all over the place. Pretty much every red-white deck is playing him, and for good reason. Every creature in the deck, except for Hellrider and Falkenrath Marauder, is a human, so they will all grow him. So, even if there wasn't even all that many, it would still be worth trying. So, moving on from there is Avacyn's Caller. Avacyn's Caller is something that, because all the creatures, except for a few in the deck, are human, it seemed like something that I really wanted at least one of. So far in testing, it's done quite well. It turns every creature in the deck into something that they have to deal with twice. And even the Spirit will at least have 2 power and vigilance when when it comes into play, even if when it dies nothing happens. Moving on from there, Geistflame. Something that can deal with opposing champions. It can deal with Avacyn's Pilgrims and that sort of thing. So I felt at least a couple were good. I think his deck had one more, but I found that 2 is pretty good to have, so I went with 2. Moving on from there, a creature that has been surprisingly good for me, which is Thraben Heretic. Thraben Heretic, I started out... his deck started out with 1 Silver Chase Fox in the main board to deal with enchantments. And he said that he kept on coming up against undying creatures and stuff, so I was kind of wondering why he didn't just have Thraben Heretic in the deck. Or in the main board. There was a few in sideboard. So for my tweaks on the deck, I decided to move it to main deck, cut the Fox, and actually after some testing, I found that I'm not really all that much of a fan of Loyal Cathar. Loyal Cathar is decent, but hasn't thrilled me enough. I have been finding over a lot of the games that I was playtesting that I kept wishing that all the Cathars I was drawing were Thraben Heretics to be able to handle specifically the blue-green self-mill that tries to drop the Ghoul Tree and uses Splinter Fright and Bone Worm. So Heretic is something that can keep those under control, and it's still a 2/2 for 2. A bear isn't necessarily the best, but it's still pretty decent. Next up, a Thalia. There's a couple Thalias in the deck. First Strike is really good in the creature matchups, and in the mirror match, the ability to hold off Geistflames and so forth is something that has come up quite often, and she seems to cover that pretty well. I decided that a third one in the sideboard is good because I really don't want to draw 2 of them. Moving up the column is Elite Inquisitor. He has been amazing. First Strike and Vigilance is a sweet combination. It allows him to play both offense and defense with great power. The protection from vampires, werewolves, and zombies is not necessarily something that's all that bad either. I faced down a couple of Huntmaster of the Fells. They'll flip. I take 2, but the creature still sits there, which makes it really sweet. It's also stood in the way of a Ghoul Tree a couple of times, which has been quite useful. Moving on from there, 2 Fiend Hunters main board, because 1 power for 3 mana, not that exciting. His ability to remove a blocker is exciting, but the 1 power really isn't as much. So I found myself not really needing to play it, kind of wishing it was something else, but it's something that when he's good, he's excellent, and when he's mediocre, he's not good. He's something you wish you had something. You wish you had a different card. Moving on from there, Midnight Haunting. I decided to go with Midnight Haunting over the Gather the Townsfolk because it's instant speed. I already have a ton of 2-drops. It's something that I can go into turn Midnight Haunting, next turn Hellrider, and possibly kill with. Moving up from there is Brimstone Volley. Brimstone Volley is the go-to burn spell of the format. 5 damage for 3 mana is a ton. It's really not hard to set up Morbid. So for the most part, it's gonna be a Lava Axe for 3 mana, or it can kill bigger drops, which is always nice. Moving up the converted mana cost is 1 Slayer of the Wicked. Slayer of the Wicked is actually really good, which is the reason why there's 2 more in Sideboard. For the most part, it's been taking down Huntmasters of the Fells and Ghoul Trees. It's taken down a couple of Olivias, so that's always exciting. But the 3 power is a lot. When I first read the card, and I wasn't really paying all that much attention to it, I kept thinking it only had 2 power. But with it being a 3/2, it can definitely lay the beats after taking down a creature. Other than, like, if you're not facing pretty much specifically red-white, it's pretty much Necrotal. So moving up is the deck and format all-star is Hellrider. Hellrider needs no introduction. It is the creature that wins the game more often than not. You can lay down a beating that is unblockable and so thick that nobody can get out of it. This deck has explosive draws that can just kill on turn 4, maybe turn 5, but if you're killing them on turn 5, you don't care if they have any blockers. You're just rushing with everybody, and Hellrider is going to kill them before they even have a chance to block. Moving up to the final spot, to the high end of the curve, is 2 Falkenrath Marauders. Falkenrath Marauder was not my idea, but I very much said it needed to be in here. When my friend played this at the Grand Prix trial, he was using Geistflame monks. Now, Geistflame monk is a good creature, but this deck needs reach. And what we were talking about was flying, and he can kill very quickly by himself. There isn't as many flying creatures as I thought there would be running around this format, and so having evasion is huge. So moving on to the last creature is 1 Mikaeus. I'm thinking about possibly moving this up, trying to fit a few more into the deck, because he really does fit any spot on the curve, and even as a hill giant, he can still do pretty well. But as a hill giant, if you don't attack with him, then he either becomes bigger, or so does everybody else. So that's all the creatures. The last 2 cards are 2 Devil's Plays, a quick finisher. The final little bit of reach can be used as creature removal twice. It just wins games. Moving on from there for the sideboard, 1 more Geistflame in case I face humans or something that's using Avacyn's Pilgrim. 2 Purify the Grave. When you're facing Reanimator, it can really hurt. Trying to deal with a big creature is very hard to do. 2 Faith Shield for the mirror match. The ability to just go, okay, pro white, and then just get in is really huge. Has potential to just be game ending. If you can get the Fateful Hour, then it will just kill them. one last Thalia. Again, kind of for the mirror match, because the first strike really matters. If you end up facing something that's control-ish, then her +1 cost is very huge. 2 Urgent Exorcisms. This can deal with certain problematic enchantments. If you're facing the deck that uses Spectral Flight, it can get rid of that, which is something that's very nice. Killing spirits can be pretty good, so I decided to have a couple in here. Next one up is Moment of Heroism. Moment of Heroism, I decided, will be a good sideboard plan in aggro mirrors. Just how it is in Limited. When you come out the gates and are able to just Moment of Heroism a guy and gain a bunch of life, take out something of theirs, it's a huge swing, major blowout. So I decided to try it. So far it's done pretty well. Next one up is the last 2 Fiend Hunters. Sometimes you will face things that are big, and when you face things that are big, you want your sideboard to be able to handle them. Speaking about things that are big, 2 more Slayers of the Wicked. Taking out Olivia's, Ghoul Trees, that kind of thing, very, very big. Last one is one more Falkenrath Marauder. Sometimes going up to 3 is really needed, especially against a deck with a heavy amount of removal, because if you can drop that and hit them, he becomes almost too big to take out. So yeah, that's the Boros deck that I'm going to be taking through. So I will see you on the other side.